GERENetwork.com.
The following is a presentation of the GERE Radio Network.
I believe it's a big challenge for our building to keep things in perspective and to, if we're going to get addicted to anything, let's get addicted to the process.
And with that, we welcome you to Trust the Podcast, powered by Better Life Than Dead and the GERE Radio Network. This is episode 51. It is week 7. The Buffalo Bills versus the Miami Dolphins. Now, before we get started here, I want to let you know you can hear us on BetterLiveThanDead.com, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio. Now, brand new breaking news, brand spanking new, just happened a couple days ago. You can hear us on Pandora now. You can still hear us on Spotify, YouTube, and really anywhere else you can get a podcast. You can hear the podcast, this Trust the Podcast, Better Live Than Dead podcast, Sabercast, or any GERE Network podcast. You can get it anywhere. Not let us know. We'll make it happen like we did with Pandora. I am Ryan Wolfe at WolfeBLTD. Joining me on the IndyCard Media Hotline, the man himself, John Cimino at the JC Money. John, how you doing today?
Incorrect Twitter feed there, my friend. It is now at I am JC Money now.
I forgot I have that written down, and I just got I'm so in the groove. I was rolling so hard.
Well, I mean,
I totally missed it.
It you know, that's been the JC Money was my Twitter handle for 11 years, you know, so it's very easy to roll off the tongue. I've had that same handle for a little bit, but unfortunately, you know, breaking down the wall here, those that have followed me outside of this podcast, or even in this podcast, when I give a brief rundown of myself, my first appearance here, my history is in professional wrestling. And God forbid a pro wrestling troll that doesn't like the product today or whatever, you know, has some kind of issue, because these fans are so entitled now that they think that they could, you know, cause a movement on social media and yay, we get our way or whatever. And I come back and I, you know, slam them down or whatever. And they report me to Twitter. And, you know, who'd have thought me calling some wrestling fan troll a certain 4-letter word that begins with the letter C would be the straw that broke the Twitter camel's back. And so the JC Money is indefinitely suspended, but at I am JC Money is live and in show enough live in color, Ryan.
I'm glad to have you here on the podcast. And I know we're trying to do something different this week by throwing the podcast together at the at the last, not the last minute, but the first minute, really, a couple minutes after the game's over. We're here talking about the Buffalo Bills. And John, it was a typical Buffalo Bills game on Sunday, but typical Bills game day. You get real hyped up, and then all of a sudden you've got the Bills struggling for a quarter or a half, and then they're fine after that. So,
well, and I must say, Mr. Josh Allen there, he's starting to become the fourth quarter comeback kid. You know what I mean? It's
a nice trait to have, but you don't want to have to be there. You don't want to have to do that all the time.
True, very true. But like you said, it is nice to have, and they're sitting pretty right now at 5-1, and that is a very good thing.
The difficult thing for me, just kind of overlooking everything, is someone on Twitter, a good Twitter follower at K Kickflip points out. We're happy that the Bills are 5-1, but you want them to at some point in time play like they're 5-1 and not seem like that they luck into it. Now, as we mentioned, spoiler alert, the Buffalo Bills 5-1 now for the first time since 2008 with their 31-21 victory over the 0-6 Miami Dolphins on Sunday. John, hopefully the Bills don't repeat history, because in 2008, the last time they started 5-1, they finished the season 2-8 to finish 7-9. So, John, hopefully that doesn't happen again.
Well, I don't think it will, and if it does, then fold the franchise, because you look at the Buffalo Bills have the second easiest remaining schedule in the NFL behind the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I mean, I'm taking a look at the schedule right now. I see maybe the Eagles giving them trouble, and one against the Patriots, maybe the Cowboys and Ravens. But other than that, everything else, I mean, the way that they've played, especially when the fourth quarter rolls around, and especially even more so this defense that they field every week. I mean, they're not losing to Washington. They're not losing to Cleveland. They're not losing to Miami, you know, the second game. They're not losing to Denver. I mean, the Jets beat the Cowboys. The Jets, they beat the Cowboys. I honestly, I think that the Bills have the Cowboys number. The Mason Rudolph Steelers, they're not going to give them any issue. And you know, they close out the season against the Jets at home. You know, if the Bills were to win 2 and, as you had mentioned, win 2 and finish, lose 8 going out, then the process is over because they don't deserve to be where they are if that's the case. I don't see that happening.
And to point out too, as how probable it is, we don't want to say the P word around here, but the playoffs, man. According to 538, the Buffalo Bills now have an 80% chance to make the playoffs. Historically, 5-1 teams make the playoffs 83% of the time. So things are looking up for the Buffalo Bills. Now, John, jumping over to our first of the 3 big things this week. I'm looking at something right now. I'm checking out Twitter here. Okay. The Buffalo Bills, again, 31-21. Right off the top, the first thing we really have to talk about this week is Josh Allen. The first half of the game, the Bills offense felt like it was rolling, but they were not able to finish the drives, only scoring 9 points on 3 field goals. Miami, on the other hand, 14 points to take a 14-9 lead into the half, which was a little jarring, honestly, to see, because Miami going into today's game was 0-5, and they were one of the worst defenses in the league. So coming out the second half, it appears the Bills made the adjustments. Ryan Fitzpatrick scored a touchdown, or the Dolphins. Ryan Fitzpatrick scored a rushing touchdown late in the game to break the second half shutout. But Buffalo came out and scored 22 points in the fourth quarter. Again, absolutely impressive to see them able to turn it on. But at what point in time do you see Josh Allen making that next step so the Bills aren't needing to score 22 points in the fourth quarter? Because John, again, and it's kind of long-winded response here. I do apologize, but we've seen this happen all year, where either the Bills come out and score, if we flip this game around and they had scored 22 in the first half and 9 in the second half and still won the game, it would be exactly the same thing. It would be, okay, they started hot and then cooled off, where now they started off ice cold and finished up red hot.
Well, I mean, excuse me, in terms of Josh Allen, that is going to come throughout the season when when you start getting that, pushing that towards that grind and you're getting towards the end of the season and the light at the end of the tunnel of the playoffs is nearing, that's when you're going to really see the measure of the man and how well he has progressed. Now, I've said this, and it's a broken record. I've said this on other podcasts, both here on Trust the Podcast, my podcast, and abroad. Josh Allen really needs to learn how to apply just a degree of touch to his passes, because he has habitually, and at very least once or twice a game, overthrows his receivers. Now, we know he's got a cannon of an arm, and that's never been disputed. But
he almost threw the ball out of the stadium today on his he almost threw the ball out of the stadium on his 2-point conversion.
Well, right. I mean, he throws the ball. He wants that deep ball so bad, and he's got some speedsters, John Brown, but he's overthrown them by 10, 15 yards sometimes, and it's like, dude, you do that once or twice a game. I mean, they're fortunate to where the defense constantly keeps them in the game and tires out that offense to the point where the offense, by the time the fourth quarter rolls around, comes up against a tired defense, and they're able to come back and score. And Josh Allen's able to do his fourth quarter magic thing. But in the same, that is the biggest thing I think that needs to improve with Josh Allen is his touch. He's got to learn how to trust his arm, not just go for, hit the hit sticker, the play meter on Madden all the way up to 100% and just throw it. You know what I mean? He's really got to learn the art of quarterbacking. Like, I mean, right now I'm watching the Seahawks game and I'm watching Russell Wilson, and I've seen how Russell Wilson has done that over the course of time. He's gone from being just like the runner or throwing it really far to just really being a passer. Josh Allen is not a passer right now, and he needs to become that. I think once we see him do that, that's when the Bills are really going to consistently be good quarter 1 to quarter 4.
So looking at a stat here on Twitter right now, as you're talking about it, John, cover one at cover _1_ cover one on Twitter. They're a great follow for any sort of stats you may need. Prior to the game, they say Josh Allen has only attempted 8 passes over 30 plus yards. He's 0 for 8 on the season. as tweeted earlier by them as well, he was 2 for 24 in 2018. So at some point in time, again, you got to be able to make those deep throws happen. Because again, I understand that Isaiah McKenzie was double covered, but Isaiah McKenzie had a step or two on the two defenders, and Josh Allen had him wide open. Everyone beat, could have put some touch on it and been fine. Now it seems like Allen has been able to put touch on those shorter passes, which has really helped the Buffalo Bills out, moving the chains this season. But again, those deep passes, you really got with the rocket arm that he has. And that's really a reason why they were talking about why he was so good for Buffalo, was because of his laser rocket arm. But again, he keeps being unable. There's an inability there to put enough of the proper touch on that deep pass, like you said, and he just is going out there and hucking it, which is great. But you got to make one of those passes happen and count every once in a while, especially with big games coming up. I mean, you can get away with those against Washington or Miami, but like next week against Philadelphia, you're going to need to take all the chances that you can get and capitalize on them. And if you keep doing stuff like that, you know, it's rough to see, because, you know, we feel like he's developing as a quarterback and getting better as a quarterback.
Yes, and we do also have to keep in mind too, it's just year 2, so. You know, I would say if he's still doing these things by maybe mid-year 3, year 4, then that might be cause for concern.
Absolutely, I think that's
right now at this point, he's made significant improvements from year 1 to year 2. You know, he's now willing to throw the ball away more than he did year 1, whereas he would just, you know, back then would just take off and run for 100 yards a game, which is great and all. It's exciting. But it shortens the life of quarterbacks. I mean, look at Cam Newton now.
Absolutely.
So he's learned how to do that. He's learned how to extend the play and kind of stick in the pocket when he has to. But again, the touch thing is not concerning at this time, but it's something to definitely keep an eye on going forward in the future.
I absolutely agree with you 100%. Hey, I want to move over to the defensive side of things right now, for our second of 3 big things this week. I want to highlight the defense. Now, granted, I understand that the Buffalo Bills as a team, I'm trying to get the team stats up here, but they won't pop up. That is fantastic. As a team, again, they allowed 21 points today, which I believe was the first time since Cincinnati earlier this season that they've allowed multiple offensive touchdowns in a game.
I've got the stats up here. What do you need?
I was looking. Well, I'm trying to formulate an argument here, and it's not working. So I'm going to go back over to ESPN.
We're podcasting on the fly, ladies and gentlemen.
NFL.com. It's stupid. Okay. Yeah. Looking defensively, I mean, they allowed Ryan Fitzpatrick throw for 282 yards today. The Dolphins ran 30 times for 109 yards, 3.6 yards per carry. Not too bad, but 2 rushing touchdowns. And then they allowed the passing touchdown earlier in the game as well. But the one thing I want to highlight today, looking at the stats here, they only had 1 sack, at Oliver's first career sack. But the funny part about that one, John, was that it came against a wide receiver, because Ryan Fitzpatrick threw back to the wide receiver, and it looked like they were going to run the wide receiver out to have either a flea flicker, or the wide receiver was going to throw the ball. It counts, I guess, as a sack. So, hey, kudos to him at Oliver's first career sack. Lorenzo Alexander, playing a starting role with Matt Milano out today, had 10 total tackles and a pass deflection and a quarterback hit. I know that Jordan Poyer, he deserves a gold star today, not only because he was solid defensively, as we expect, but after Miami scored to make it 21, I believe it was 21-24, Miami onside kicked. Jordan Poyer grabbed the ball out of the air, kind of pirouetted, and then spun around and ran the ball back for a touchdown. After the game, he said he probably should have went down, but at the time he had a chance to run back for a touchdown. So it goes in the books as a kick return for a touchdown. And again, it was an absolute great way to put a nice little bow on the victory today. But again, very, very good. The defense struggled again, but when it came down to it, they were able to put their money where their mouth was, and I guess, if you will, and were able to hold the Dolphins back just enough to get the victory and move to 5-1.
Well, incidentally, that last scoring play, the defense, the special teams touchdown at the end, that bumped me up. I had to start the Bills defense this week on one of my fantasy leagues, and I don't want to say I had to. I have started them pretty much all season because they've been doing well, but they weren't doing well up until that point. And that point, once he got that touchdown, boom, brought me back up to the projected 13.9, and I'm well on my way to victory there too. So, thank you, Buffalo.
Beautiful. That's great news.
Mm-hmm.
I actually looking. I know no one likes when we talk about fantasy football, but it's a good transition because I started Josh Allen first half, not good. Second half, came back, ended up scoring 25.28 in my league. But the reason I mentioned fantasy football, Devin Singletary, another guy I started this week, and guess what? Devin Singletary did not play a ton today, but he looked good when he played. And it almost seems like they might be easing him back into the offense. Only ran the ball 7 times for 26 yards. He did not catch the ball at all, but he looks like he is back, and they can really implement that and get him rolling back in this offense because having the run and gun of Frank Gore and Devin Singletary should really help Josh Allen out.
Absolutely.
And it's good to have him healthy, good to have him back. And I'm happy. I mean, I'm not happy that he was struggling on my fantasy football team. But you know what's great?
You know what? He has the potential to be very dynamic, and you
Absolutely,
saw that.
But you know what's great?
Saw that in Week 1 against the Jets, and I believe he was actually Week 2 was when he got injured, was it not?
I believe I can't even remember.
I'm pretty sure, but all I know is I remember when I was watching the Week 1 game against the Jets and seeing Devin Singletary do his thing. I'm like, why didn't they start him? Why didn't they put him in the beginning of the game? And maybe they just didn't know it was Week 1, which is essentially an extension of the preseason. But this guy has I think he's in the right offense, and he's got, and there's not one big name. Like there's no Tom Brady, there's no Gronkowski, there's no Aaron Rodgers, there's no big marquee name, but there's a lot of complementary players on that team that gel well together, and that's the process. And that seems to be working very, very well in this early half of the season now at this point as we head to Week 8.
Absolutely. And looking at I'm just watching some explosions happen on Twitter.
No.
Yeah, they knocked down.
It's not over professional wrestling, is it?
No, one of the cranes. They imploded one of the cranes from the New Orleans Hard Rock collapse, and it didn't go well.
Oof.
It was
all right.
It broke some stuff. It was kind of bad.
All right.
Looking at some stats here before we move over to our Gore watch. Well, the only stat I want to share right now, at least, the Buffalo Bills, per at NFL Research, the Buffalo Bills, John, are 7-2 in their last 9 games dating back to Week 15, 2018. Their only 2 losses have come against the New England Patriots. So things are looking up for the Buffalo Bills, which is good news. It's always good when things are looking up for the Buffalo Bills. Great news. So now, looking I don't have the exact statistic here. We're going to kind of hodgepodge this together.
How dare you, Ryan?
What?
You don't have the statistics here for Frank Gore this week?
I didn't fix the one number, and I don't know where it's at. So anyways,
good Lord.
Frank Gore rolled into the bye week ranked 4th all time in NFL history with 15,021 rushing yards. Barry Sanders ranked 3rd all time with 15,269 rushing yards. Week 7, Frank Gore, 11 rushes for 55 yards. Now heading into Week 8 against Philadelphia's really good run defense, Frank Gore, 133 yards behind Barry Sanders for 3rd all time in NFL history. Not bad at all.
Not too shabby. He should definitely catch Sanders within the next few weeks. Again, with Singletary coming back, his carries are obviously going to be lessened, but that may not necessarily be the worst thing for someone his age because as he's shown, he's still got the power and he still can turn on the Jets. So, in a reduced role, he may get bigger spurts of bigger yardage time he's out there. So
Absolutely.
I think he's definitely catching Sanders very soon.
I absolutely agree with you on that one. Now, looking ahead, brought to you by 26 Shirts. Check out 26shirts.com. Follow them at Twitter. Or I'm having a day today. I'm not used to doing the podcast on a Sunday, so my brain is I'm galaxy brained right now.
We did it on Sundays every week last year.
But that was last year, though.
Oh, Lord, Ryan.
26shirts.com, at 26shirts on Twitter and Instagram, facebook.com/26shirts. Check them out for their latest and greatest when it comes to t-shirts, whatever they have design-wise, whatever they have from the vault, and all the stories about who the people that they're helping, the wonderful people that they're helping with their shirts and with the designs. Again, 26shirts.com, at 26shirts on Twitter and Instagram, and facebook.com/26shirts. And I want to give a quick shout out to Dell at Dell Reed on Twitter. Dell, I miss you. I'd love to chat with you soon. Hopefully we can talk some Bills soon. John, I know we always talk about it, that you're keeping the seat warm for Dell. I know that you've kind of become the co-host, but I would definitely love to talk to Dell soon about some Bills.
Hey, no, it's all good. I know my role coming off the bench. When Dell's ready and he's here, I happily will go sit my old ass on the bench and listen to you two do your thing. Because quite frankly, I obviously I enjoy hearing myself talk, and I enjoy talking, and I, bring shtick to every podcast. But you and Dell have a different kind of connection, I think, in terms of podcasting with one another. You guys feed off of you and I feed off of one another, but we feed off of one another in a very different way. Like, you guys feed off of one another in a very sporty way. You and I feed off of one another in a very sports entertainment kind of way. So, it's what hooked me to Trust the Podcast to begin with, being the Bills Mafia's favorite Jets fan. I was happy as the owner of the Gear Network to have, more content and different things. And I like listening to all the podcasts on the network, but I don't know. I grew to enjoy very much you and Dell talking with one another and talking about the Bills, and the passion that Dell has as well is not, it's not easily replicated. So, kudos to Dell for what he does with 26 Shirts, and I look forward to hearing him on the podcast very soon.
He's a busy man. Busiest man in Buffalo, Dell Reed right there. Hey, looking real quick before we talk about Week 8. I know Week 7 just finished, and we're still Victory Tuesday in it right now, even though it's only Sunday afternoon, early Sunday evening. We got to talk about next week. We got to talk about the playoffs. So right now, after 7 weeks.
Playoffs?
After 7 Bills weeks, because there's the Week 7 is still in the throes here. The Buffalo Bills currently sit with the 5th seed in the AFC, which that's really where they're going to be until the Patriots either lose or the Bills pass the Patriots, which would be at this point in time of the season wild.
Everybody in Buffalo is going to be rooting for the Jets tomorrow.
We'll see how that one turns out.
Yeah, I'm going to be rooting for the Jets, obviously. Spoiler. But
thank you. I appreciate that. You're so thoughtful to like your favorite team.
Yeah.
But hey, the Bills sit 5th in the AFC at 5-1. Now there are games that are still happening. Chargers and Titans, Ravens and Seahawks, Saints, Bears, Eagles, Cowboys tonight, and Patriots and Jets, as John mentioned, on Monday Night Football. The Browns, Bucks, Panthers, and Steelers are all off this week. So, with that being said, big results for the Buffalo Bills this week. First off, the Houston Texans and Indianapolis Colts played. Indianapolis beat Houston. Indianapolis moves into the 3 seed temporarily, and Houston moves to the 6th seed at 4-3. The Oakland Raiders fall to the Green Bay Packers. Oakland is now 3-3. Jacksonville wins, moves to 3-4. The Browns, Steelers are at 2-4. Chargers and Titans, winner of that game, will move to 3-4. Loser moves to 2-5. Then you've got the Broncos at 2-5. You've got the Jets at 1-4, and pending tomorrow's result. And then the Bengals and Dolphins, Bengals 0-7, Dolphins 0-6. So, John, here's the big thing pointed out by Howard Simon of WGR on Twitter. With Oakland's loss today, all of the teams not in first place in their AFC division have at least 2 more losses than the Bills. Mm-hmm. That is huge. That takes a lot of pressure off the Buffalo Bills moving forward. And that really allows Buffalo to just focus on focus on what it is that they're doing, and hopefully from here, just keep their eyes on the prize, keep their eyes on the playoffs, and move forward from there. And hopefully, hey, something comes of it.
Well, again, it should. Like I said earlier, they have the second easiest remaining schedule in the NFL. And so, again, 2-8, I don't see that happening at all. This is very much a 10-win season, I think, is very, very attainable, should be attainable, and probably will be attainable for the Buffalo Bills. All they need to do is they just need to keep doing what they're doing, not focusing on the statistics part of it, where it's like, okay, well, everybody else is beneath us by this much, that much, this much. Okay, we can afford to kind of ease up and kind of relax. No, you got to go in, you got to grind, because you're in the AFC East, you're in Brady's division, and every win, every bit helps. You have to play like your backs are against the wall, because until Brady is out of this division, whether by retirement or whatever,
by hook or by crook, right? Is that what they say?
Exactly. Yes, you are playing with your back against the wall, regardless, when you're in the AFC East.
So moving on to next week, Week 8. I know again the body is still warm from the Week 7 victory over the Miami Dolphins, but John, the Philadelphia Eagles take on the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday Night Football on October 20th. That's when we're recording the podcast. So right now, as of recording time, they are 3-3. So they'll be 4-3 or 3-4 heading into Buffalo. Now, Philadelphia, very talented team. As mentioned, they have a very good run defense. They still have Carson Wentz. They've like I said, they've got dynamic wide receivers. I know they've got a lot of injuries. I'm not too well versed on how the status of their team currently is injury wise. I'll look that up here in just a moment. But
I have it as of right now. They have 1, 2, 3, 4. They had 4 people out today and 1 that was questionable. Deshaun Jackson, Jason Peters, Avonte Maddox, and Tim Jernigan was out, and Ronald Darby, there's a name from the past.
That's a blast.
Listed as questionable.
Okay, perfect. I appreciate that. So again, it's one of those situations where they're very talented, but they just haven't it's like they haven't been able to get out of their own way at this point. So we'll see what happens there. But what are your projections looking at the Philadelphia Eagles? What do the Buffalo Bills need to do to beat the Philadelphia Eagles here? The
Buffalo Bills need to just do their thing. They need to just focus on the task at hand. Josh Allen needs to really work on his touch and try to hit his receivers. If he tries to do that, they'll throw the long ball. I know Chicks dig the long ball and perhaps the long run here, because the Ravens just scored off of a pretty solid play here. Improv, folks. But, getting the run game going again with Singletary and Gore, that's going to be huge, huge, huge. The defense is going to be playing a very talented quarterback in Carson Wentz. The ESPN matchup projector actually has 54.3% of the public choosing Philadelphia over Buffalo, which I think is absurd. But I think the Bills just need to be themselves and play like they have been playing, and I think that will be more than good enough to punch the Eagles in the mouth and let them and make them realize that they're in the NFC East, in that crap division. I see the Bills pulling this one off, probably 24-17.
I'm reading something. I was watching. I've got the NASCAR race on because there's only a couple laps left, and it's their playoffs. I'm sure you. So a car crashed and a wheel fell off and was just rolling down the track. I'm like, this is hilarious. I'm like 7 years old watching this. I'm like, that's really funny.
You watch NASCAR still?
I only watch the playoffs, man, and I rarely watch. It's kind of like when someone says they watch pornos for the stories. That's kind of me with NASCAR. I'm just like, I turn it on, and I'm like, oh, cool. There's 5 laps left in the race. Cool. I'll turn it on.
I mean, I think the old cliche was reading Playboy magazines for the articles, but okay,
you
man.
I think I just blew myself in there.
There you go. Oh.
But hey, it's one of those things like basketball games. I only turn it on for the last couple minutes because I'm like, I don't really care what's going on, but it's on. I'll see what's up. It's like how I keep so well versed in sports, because I always make sure I'm trying to pay attention to what's going on, so I kind of have a clue of what's up.
All right,
but again,
it's understandable. It is what it is. Listen, Captain Porno, it's understandable. We get it now. Now, hey. Please. Oh, wait, hold on. Shut up, Ryan. Okay, now go on.
Thanks. I appreciate that. So again, we'll see what happens on. We'll see what happens on Sunday Night Football. I'll be watching it intently because there's nothing really better than it's when
Sunday Night Football. They moved it.
It's always been Sunday Night Football.
Has it? It says Fox at 1:00 p.m. from where I'm looking.
No, I'm talking about tonight's game.
Oh! You're talking about okay. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking. I thought we were still talking about Eagles Bills.
Yes, I'm watching tonight's. I watch tonight's Eagles and Cowboys game and pay attention to how that all works out. Especially because
go Eagles.
The Cowboys. Yeah, exactly.
For that game.
The Cowboys have Ezekiel Elliott, and the Eagles have apparently a good run defense. So we'll see how that works out and get some tips and ideas for next week's game against the Buffalo Bills. But I think the biggest thing about that game, John, is that it is at New Era Field. That's the most important thing about that game.
Yes. And those that say, that may or may not say, I don't know who would say this at this point, but home field advantage isn't really an advantage, bro. There are certain stadiums where home field advantage is an advantage. Lambeau Field, you go there, you know you're there. The Superdome where the Saints play, you go there, you know you're there. New Era Field, you go there, you know you're there to see the
same with Seattle.
The Bills are rocking, and Seattle as well. There are some stadiums that just have that aura, that luster, that it factor with it, and New Era Field is one of those. It's not the sexiest stadium in the world, but
you heard what Ryan Fitzpatrick was saying this week about coming back to New Era, about how playing in Buffalo is such a great experience, and the fans are great, and the atmosphere is great, and everything about it's wonderful. Like that's, I mean, like you said,
I feel like he said that about seven. I feel like he said that about 7 other teams too.
Well,
when he went back to play them, I mean,
but you know what?
Sure
Buffalo holds a special spot. Buffalo holds a special spot in his heart because Buffalo got him paid.
Yes, that is true. That is true.
I mean, look at it. I don't care. I would.
It was where the Ryan Fitzpatrick cycle was born.
It's where Fitzmagic. I think Fitzmagic was really born in Buffalo for sure.
I don't disagree.
And then we got that Fitzy scream too. Remember that one?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. When he said when he was or whatever.
Yeah, the old infamous Fitzy scream. Jim Rome was all over that. I remember that was a soundbite for him for at least 3 weeks.
Well, hey, either way,
Fitzy scream.
Either way, the Buffalo Bills, John, they are 5-1.
5-1.
Heading into a great matchup next Sunday against the Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh, you know what I just realized really quickly?
What's that?
It's 5-1. They're 5-1, right?
Yeah.
This is Trust the Podcast episode 51.
Yo! Oh, hell yeah.
How about that?
I'm glad it took us the entire time to figure that out.
Yes,
and
indeed.
It's not so embarrassing that someone didn't have to tell us that on Twitter.
Yes. I beat you all to it, Twitter. Please don't report me. I don't have another Twitter handle that I can come up with creatively right now.
I'm sure we can come up with a couple for you. But with that being said, it's at I am the JC Money. That's John on Twitter.
No, I am JC Money. No, the
oh my God. Let's
Good Lord, Ryan.
John is at I am JC Money. That's John.
Yes.
I suggested he changed it to I am JC Pesos, but he didn't think that was too funny.
Shut up, Ryan.
Thanks, John. I appreciate it. I am at Wolf BLTD. As always, we are Trust the Podcast.
You're not.
We'll catch you next week to talk about the Bills and Eagles. Thanks again for tuning in. And as always, John, go Bills.
Hooray! The preceding presentation has been brought to you by the GERE Network. Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Do you like sports, interactive polls, friendly banter from two guys that probably shouldn't even be on the microphone doing this stuff anyways? Well, if you do, then you're in luck. Us two knuckleheads, Brandon and myself, comprise the Listen In Podcast. That's right, Listen In, the podcast. We're talking sports. We're talking news. We're talking topical things. We're talking all sorts of things, my babies. And you are all invited to listen in right here on the GERE Radio Network.